Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel, The Crumbs in the Philippines. I want to wish everybody a happy new year and hope y'all had a great holiday season. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and please hit that like button to help us push the video out to as many as we can via the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for joining us as always, guys, and we're going to jump right into it, okay? Today's topic is not a happy one. It's an experience that Jen and I lived through here with some of our acquaintances. So I'm just going to get right into it. And the purpose for telling this sad tale is not to pull anyone's heartstrings or anything like that, but just to let you know that how important it is to have a health care plan in place and really have a good grasp on your financial situation whenever you move to the Philippines, so you don't run into this type of situation yourself, okay? Okay. So whenever Jen and I first moved into Plantation, one of the things that really we liked about the community was there were a lot of people that got out and walked. And there was a lot of paved paths for walking. So throughout the course of our walks, which we go twice a day, we kept coming across this same couple, an older gentleman, a foreigner, Westerner, and he had a younger Filipina girlfriend. And we'd exchange pleasantries and go about our business. And we kept crossing paths. And eventually we stopped and talked and introduced each other. And so we decided that we'd all start walking together. Because this guy's girlfriend, I'm not going to use their names. I'm not comfortable doing that. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings or just draw any attention to things that are just not important to the story. But the girlfriend was approximately the same age as Jen. She was 49 and Jen was 50 at the time when we met. So we started walking together twice a day, and we started getting to know them a little bit. And Jen and the girlfriend, they became pretty good friends. And I got to know the gentleman pretty well. He was 74 years old. He'd been in the Philippines and all of that time in the plantation community for 9 years. When he came over, he was 65 years old. He told me he had $5,000 in the bank when he got here. And he was already established and getting his Social Security income at the time. And that his house was paid off here in the subdivision. They did a rent-to-own agreement, much the same as Jen and I are doing here. So he didn't have a housing payment, but the only monthly residual income that he had was his Social Security, which for me, I wouldn't be, I don't know if that would make me comfortable or not. Well, and I guess it would depend on how much my Social Security benefit was, but his seemed to be like above the average, I would say. I don't know the exact amount. I have an idea, but I mean, I think he was in the 17 to 1800 US dollar range monthly for Social Security. Okay, so as we were talking one day, he'd revealed to me, that 6 months before we met, he had surgery here in the Philippines to remove a growth from his rib cage on the left side there, and it was it wasn't a life-endangering procedure or anything like that, but it did require him to stay in the hospital for a bit, and it was quite costly. So it ate up all of his $5,000 savings, and he actually had to borrow a pretty substantial amount of money from some other expats in the community. And I don't know if this is an accurate figure, but what he told me was it was about 200,000 pesos. Which is that's a good amount of money here in the Philippines, probably close to $40,000 or $4,000. So we just continued walking, getting to know them. They had a car and we were in a motorcycle, so there was a few times that they would give us a ride to the S&R whenever we wanted to buy some really heavy items, and we'd put them in the car, and they'd help us transport it back to the subdivision here. But other than that, we pretty much kept to ourselves and let them keep to themselves. And we don't really like to be too intrusive with other folks. And that's just, I wouldn't consider that to be a relaxing retirement, to be up in somebody's business all the time. So we try not to do that. But after about 6 months from the time that we met them, he completed paying back all of the money that he had borrowed. I remember the day when he told me that he had paid the last one back, and he was pretty happy. And so he started having a little bit of extra income left over each month to go out and do some fun stuff. And him and his girlfriend, they enjoyed traveling to Tagaytay and places that were close by here. He went to Puerto Galera a few times. And then about, I don't know, after he had paid those guys off, about 6 to 8 weeks later, he came walking with us one day, and he was I could tell something was wrong. He was really downtrodden, and whenever I asked him what was wrong, he told me that he had just found out that he had stage 4 lung cancer. I mean, that was a devastating blow, and we were devastated right along with him. I mean, he was 74. And I know the first thing that popped into my mind was, how soon are you going back to the USA? I mean, you're going to probably want to go back to get that taken care of. But I mean, he was very adamant about doing it here. And he went to the lung center in Manila and ended up getting set up on a treatment plan here in Lipa City over at the Mary Mediatrics Hospital, where he was going to have to go for weekly chemo sessions. And he would have to do that every week for, I think it was 6 months to begin with. That was the first thing. And they also prescribed him about 20 heavy-duty medications that were very expensive. And I felt really bad for the guy. I mean, as I said, if it was me, I would have hopped on the plane and went home and just drew into my family and gotten some help somewhere. But I know that he had to go back out and begin to borrow money again to cover those chemo costs. And I mean, we helped him to the tune of about $15,000. I mean, that's all I could go in for that at the time, because we were in the middle of moving from one house to another, and we had put down a pretty good down payment on our rent-to-own house here, so I didn't have a lot of extra liquid cash laying around in the Philippines here with us, and I wasn't comfortable loaning out large chunks of money anyway. So we gave him as much moral support as we could and continued to walk, and he kept walking as long as he could. He dropped down to once a day, and then he'd only go half the distance with us. And just a few months, he's into his chemo. He's going weekly and taking care of it. And then out of the blue, his girlfriend started having stomach aches. And one night it got so bad that she had to go to the hospital. So one of their friends, the Filipina wife, took her to the hospital. And the expat, he was so sick from the chemo that he was unable to go up and visit her in the hospital and stuff. And we were told that they thought she had appendicitis. So Jen and I, we went to the hospital every day for 3 days, and we took food to her from there, which is kind of the custom here in the Philippines, is that you have to pay for your own food in the hospital. And so we would take food up to her for 3 days. And this is all during COVID, so we couldn't go in the room and visit her. We had to leave the food with the guard at the lobby of the hospital, and they would take the food up to her. And then on the 4th day, when we were getting ready to go to town, one of the neighbors told us, because we stopped by to ask the expat, is there anything we can take up to your girlfriend or anything he wants to tell her? And he was feeling really weak, I could tell. And he said she passed away. Again, we were just floored. Unbelievable. 49 years old. She's in the hospital. We thought she had appendicitis, and she died in the hospital. To this day, we have no idea what the actual cause of death was. They cremated her, like that was the procedure in the Philippines during the COVID. pandemic. It was like if you died in the hospital, you were going to be cremated. That was their policy. So I mean, he was devastated. I felt just so horrible for him. He's going to chemo, and his girlfriend had just died. They'd been together for 5 years, and they really wanted to get married, but she was in a previous marriage, and of course, if you're in the Philippines, there's no such thing as divorce. So they were in the process of trying to get her an annulment, which was very expensive. But they didn't quite make it to the finish line with that before she passed away. So within a few weeks, I mean, I don't blame the guy. He found online another young Philippine woman to come and move in with him and kind of be his caretaker and help him get to his chemo and clean his house and cook his meals and stuff like that. And she came and moved in with him, and she took care of him pretty good. We stopped by and see him from time to time there. And then 6 to 8 weeks later, he was gone. He passed away from the lung cancer. And probably, I'm sure the broken heart had a lot to do with it as well. I mean, it was just a heart-wrenching story, and to this day, it makes me feel really sad inside whenever I think about it. Because we weren't close friends, but I saw this guy every day for a year, and we'd get out and walk and talk about politics and what we did when we were kids, and we were both Navy veterans and things like that. But the whole purpose of telling this story is not to, as I said, I'm not trying to tug anyone's heartstrings or give a sob story, but just to stress the importance of preparation. Make sure that you have a solid plan should something like that happen to you in your life. I mean, you got to have some type of a backup plan for medical emergencies, and also a bug out plan should you need to return to the U.S. in a hurry. You got to have the means to do that. It's very important. And a solid financial plan to where you're able to save money each month. It's not enough to just earn enough each month to pay all of your bills and, go out and party a little bit and take some trips. If you're not saving money, then you're setting yourself up for a lot of problems later down the road. Unless you already have like a tremendous amount of money in savings already. Okay? As always, guys, we really appreciate it. Thanks for sticking around this long. I want to give a few shout outs. We had some guys send us super thanks. We're very, very appreciative of that, and we always like to give them a shout out here on the channel. So I want to point out to @ChrisAdare1042. Thank you so very much for the super thanks. And also @JamesChristian5390. Thank you so much, brother. We totally appreciate you. And I've read your email, James, and we're just waiting for you to get a little bit closer to your travels here, and we'll get you hooked up with some transportation from the airport and stuff. So just bear with us on that. Whenever you get within a few weeks, let me know, and I'll put you in touch with exactly who you need. Okay? As always, guys, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Stay happy, stay healthy, have a solid plan when you come to the Philippines. Take care. We'll see you later.